GROM Vline2 on a 2005 Lexus GX470. I had this unit installed back in September, October 2019. Had some installation issues due to the firmware, but then they sent me an updated firmware back in October 2019, and that resolved my issue with the backup camera not showing up. But as far as GROM goes, it's been working fine for the last 2 years, since October 2019. The biggest thing is when you have the system update, you can do the system update and the GROM software update for the core, the V core, but do not update the firmware, even though they have a new firmware out, because the firmware will be the one that's going to break your unit. You can use the latest V core software with the older firmware, so just remember that. Don't upgrade the firmware. Once you install it, just leave the firmware alone, otherwise you're gonna break it.
Where would you like to go?
Nowhere.
Nowhere. Tap to repeat.
No. So I got my microphone installed up here right behind my rear view camera, so that kind of helps. All the stuff works. Map, we got Google Maps and also Waze on here. They both work. Pandora, you can use Pandora, the app by itself, or the plugin. The plugin is easier to use because it's more bigger icons, bigger text, so easier to use. So the graphic on the 2005 GX is not as good as the graphic resolution on the 2007 to 2009 GX470, because they have a higher resolution screen. But you can still read everything. Anytime you need to go back, you just hit the disk button. So you can still go back to the OEM system, right? So you can look at the OEM system. And they all still work. And then if you hit disk, you go back to the VLine2. Google Maps, that works fine. The voice function works too. Right. Same thing with Waze. Those are the predominant reason my wife uses these. Sometimes we use YouTube and Netflix. Netflix stopped working in around January 2021 because they released a latest version of Netflix, and it's not compatible with the Android 8. But prior to that, Netflix was working fine. We got Prime Video as well. Prime Video works fine. You can, obviously do whatever you want here. Okay. I do have Torque installed here, so I can monitor. I have an OBD2 connector, so I can monitor the transmission temperature when I'm towing. Both the transmission pen temperature and the transmission temperature after the torque converter. But you can also use the OBD Link app that's provided with the OBD Link MX or MX Plus, depending on which one you purchase. All the other stuff works. Right now it's connected to Wi-Fi, but when I'm driving, I use my phone to hotspot, so it still works fine. I use this to test the microphone, so I can tell if the microphone's working or not. So as you can tell, the microphone is picking up my voice. And this is, I'm telling you, the microphone that's installed in the back of my rear view camera here. you can do the updates through the Google Play Store. Mainly I use it for maps, Waze, torque when I'm towing. And my kids are crying that I use YouTube or Prime Video. And then there's one app here that's not shown here, but I do use this BackCountry Navigator when I load the GPS file, the GPX files, and the KML files when I go off-road. And I just preload the terrain maps before I go. So that's pretty much it. It's been working fine for the last 2 years. I'm pretty happy with the unit. And actually I have it installed right here in my glove compartment where the CD changer used to be.